Every level of wealth in 13 minutes?
Imagine the world is represented by these bubbles. If we resize them according to the population size, we get this picture. I'm going to rank them from poorest to richest and show you how people live around the world.
Oh,
We'll start
fuck.
with
Is this going to
farmers
get
living with less
depressing?
than $2 per day and climb all the way to Elon Musk. And I'm gonna make a bet. You probably can't answer these two simple questions about the world. Fewer than 2% of my viewers got them right. Question 1. Where does the majority of the world population live? A.
Well, most people are going to assume China or India, but that would be too obvious of a question if he's asking it, because there's no way everybody doesn't know that. If only 2% of people are getting that, then that's fucked up, right? So then you could say, yeah, you say Asia, right? If that's the trick. Is it a trick question? I mean, like, that's a trick question, right?
A. Low income. B. Middle income.
Oh.
Or C. High income.
This is the definition of why I failed test taking. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking, bro. Oh, God, I'm such an idiot.
Countries. And 2. Since year 2000, has global wealth inequality A. increased, B. stayed the same, or C. decreased?
The majority of the population of the world. So the most dense population, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be in India. It's going to be in China. And I don't think most of those people are rich, right? So there's no way that isn't low income, right? If we're talking about the majority of the population, right? But then if you're referring to a high income country, China, like those could be high income countries, but it doesn't mean that the majority of the population is high income, right? So it could be a trick question, if that makes sense, right? Because of corruption or whatever. So, like, of course, 2% of people are going to only get that. So it's like an educational question. Since year 2000, global wealth inequality has increased, stayed more or less the same, or decreased. So with these, the obvious answer is never going to be it, right? If only 2% of people are getting this shit right. I mean, I don't know enough to really know that one.
Hold on to your answers.
I mean, I don't want to say it's increased. The global wealth inequality. So I don't know what's really happening in other countries. I don't know what's happening to the media, the middle class in other countries to really know.
We'll come back to them. This video was inspired by the book Factfulness, and I also took inspiration from these videos. I'm gonna rank our countries starting at the bottom. According to the World Bank, the 10 countries with the lowest GDP per capita in the world are all African countries. The more the bubbles are to the left, the lower the GDP per capita, and the country with the lowest GDP per capita is Burundi. Let's see how people live there.
Show me pictures and video.
The median wage in Burundi is $1.80 per day.
Okay, I'll take this.
Each woman has an average of around 5 children. Child mortality is
Goddamn.
high, and 5% of children don't make it to 5 years old.
Oh my
Families are
God.
large, and most of them depend
I was going to say, why do they have so many kids? Well, I guess that makes sense. Or maybe they're dying because there's more of them?
on agriculture.
Or maybe they're having more because they die. Like, I guess that's how it was back in the day, right?
Most people live in rural areas, often in houses made with mud bricks. The Gapminder Foundation documented how families live around the world and made their footage freely available. This family with 1 woman and 4 children had a total income of 90 cents per day. They live in a house with no electricity.
Oh my
Light
God.
comes from fire, which they also use to cook. This family sleeps on a bed made of straw, and this is their toilet. To find water, they need to walk to natural sources and carry that water back home. Most families in Burundi live in extreme poverty, and
The
that's also
format of
true
this
for
video
most
is really cool,
people in these countries.
I must say.
But so far, our chart only includes about 3.6% of the world population. I'm going to keep adding more countries until we get to about a quarter of the population.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to get rid of my background just so I'm less
We get
intrusive.
mostly African countries like Ethiopia and Nigeria, and Asian countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. I'm going to pick Bangladesh and see how people live there. The median income in Bangladesh is $4.78 per day. Each woman has an average of 2.3 children. This family has 5 people, and they live in a house with a metal roof. They have beds, they have access to a pipe well, which is how most people get their water in Bangladesh. They have a toilet and a place to wash their hands. They also have basic phones. Their house has electricity, like more than 99%.
Damn, I bet you it's
in
going to get
Bangladesh.
so detached on the other end. It's going to be so insane. It's going to be like your average person has 1 or 2 phones. They have an air conditioner. They have Wi-Fi. They have a car, maybe 2. They have maybe future, like they have wealth. Maybe they have like compound wealth. Like it's just going to be all 6 consoles.
This might not sound like a big deal, but in Portugal, a high-income country in the country where I'm from, if we go back to 1970, only 64% of the population had access to electricity.
Dog
Some people
cam,
think
cat
that countries
cam.
like Bangladesh will always stay poor. But the reality is that Bangladesh, in some aspects, is already more developed than the Portugal my parents grew up in. If we go back to our bubbles and add colors based on the income level according to the World Bank, we see that even though we're at the bottom 23% of the population, most countries in this chart are not considered low income. Bangladesh is considered medium income, or lower middle income.
I love videos like this.
Most of the world
By the way,
population lives
I'm
in
sorry.
middle income countries. A question that only 27% of my audience got right. I also got it wrong.
Oh my god, wait, he put his fuckers in there.
29% of people
This guy's fucking good at this shit. Damn, he's good at that shit. Damn.
got it wrong. In 2000, 29% of people lived in extreme poverty. Nowadays, that percentage has fallen to less than a third.
Interesting.
In a single generation, billions transitioned out of poverty. And while that was happening, another
I want to know where.
quiet transformation took place. Millions of people transitioned out of their poor problem-solving skills with Brilliant, the sponsor of this video. Brilliant is a platform for learning math, computer science, data analysis, and AI that helps you get smarter.
I love
every
it.
day. The thing
Well
about Brilliant is that
done.
you learn with interactive examples. So you don't learn by memorizing lectures, you learn by doing, which is a more effective way to learn. Brilliant works on your phone, so instead of wasting your commute scrolling on social media, you can replace that with a bit of learning every day and make a new habit out of it. There's thousands of interactive lessons to choose from. It doesn't matter if you're a total beginner or more advanced, there's content for every level. You can try this course to get started with Python, or this course to learn data analysis. It includes problems with real datasets from sources like Airbnb. You can scan the QR code on screen or visit brilliant.org/mutable-data to get a 30-day free trial, and you also get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription.
This guy's good. He's pretty big brain.
Let's keep adding countries until we reach half of the world's population. We now see India and other countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Let's see how people live in Indonesia.
God damn.
The median wage is around $6 per day, and women have on average around 2 children. Most families now live in urban areas, not rural. As countries develop, the population tends to migrate from the countryside into urban areas. This family of 4 lives in a house with a bathroom, a kitchen, bedrooms, and other amenities we didn't see in the previous income level.
It's crazy because you see each one is you're like, without comparison, you're like, God, that's rough. But then when you look at what the previous level was, you're like, oh, better than that. It like gives appreciation to each level. Deep pipes. Woo! That was 6, I think. Yeah.
Motorbikes are a common means of transportation, and most people have access to internet and use smartphones. We're entering the richer half of the world.
Okay. Where are we going?
We now get mostly upper middle income countries from Latin America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia, including China. Let's pick Brazil. The median wage in Brazil is about $13 per day. And in Brazil, women have on average 1.6 children. For the first time, we get a fertility rate below the replacement level. Wealthier countries tend to have lower fertility rates. Although hunger is still a problem in Brazil, more people die from obesity than undernutrition. As countries develop, the percentage of obese population also tends to increase. At this level of income, it's now common for people to have a car and a computer. Brazil is above the global average, but still far from the world's richest. If we add more bubbles, we start getting high-income countries. We're now at 90% of the world's population, and I'm gonna pick Spain. The median income is $41 per day. In countries like Spain, most people live in good quality housing. They have access to decent healthcare, social security, and public facilities. At this tier, you also start getting the freedom to travel to almost everywhere. A Spanish citizen can travel to a total of 189 countries visit-free. For most of the world, that is not the case.
I want
If
EU
we look at the
passport,
passport index of every country, we see that lower income countries have a lower number of destinations they can visit without a visa. The freedom to travel the world.
I'll do anything for an EU passport,
country. Despite having good living standards compared to the rest of the world, many people in these countries haven't enjoyed the economic growth we got in countries like Bangladesh or Indonesia. I spoke with economist Branko Milanovic, one of the researchers behind the famous chart explaining this. It's called the elephant curve. On the x-axis, we have the income percentile of the global population. The chart shows us how much income has grown across the population in the 20 years up to 2008. The people around the 50th percentile of income, mostly people in Asia, saw big gains. But then for the Western middle class, the curve flatlines.
Did I lose my freedom of speech? I don't need to talk to travel.
Which means they are
you know, really, I just want to travel.
Growth, and in many
I'll
cases,
keep my opinions to myself.
Close to 0% per year over 20 years.
And meanwhile, the global top 1% captured a large share of the growth, riding the wave of globalization. In recent years, the curve becomes smoother, but the pattern still holds. Many in the West feel stuck, while much of Asia has moved up. Let's move higher. In the final 10% of the world population,
that's all I want.
The wealthiest countries, such as the US.
USA! USA!
The median wage in the US is about $62 per day. Living standards are not super different from the previous year.
$62 a day?
People can afford more things here. Americans tend to have bigger houses, bigger cars, and they can buy more things in general.
Yeah! Fuck yeah! Give us that fucking McMansion. Fuck yeah!
It is 11 to 12% of Americans who are in the global top 1%. And I think many of them don't realize that.
But this doesn't mean every American is rich. So far, we've only been looking at country averages, but inside each of these bubbles, there are both rich people and poor people. We need to look at the inequality within countries.
True. I'm glad he's addressing this one.
The bubbles now show how much income the top 10% earn in each country. In the US, the top 10% get 47% of the income. The country with the highest income inequality is South Africa, where the top 10% get 65% of the income. And we're talking about income, which tells you how much money someone earns. But we should also look at the wealth, the accumulated worth of everything you own. It includes your savings, but also your house, your car, and your investments, making it arguably a better indicator of inequality.
Yeah.
If we switch the chart from income to wealth inequality, the gap becomes even bigger. South Africa also has the highest wealth inequality, with the top 10% holding almost 86% of the total wealth.
Oh my god.
On the other end, in the Netherlands, they own 45%. Wealth inequality within countries has generally increased in the last decades. Each country has a different trend, but in the US, the top 10% owns 71% of the wealth in 2021, more than 25 years earlier. This number also went up in all of the world's top 10 economies. This can have negative impacts. And
both owned by top 10%. Huh.
Several economists argue that the more unequal a society, the weaker its institutions tend to become over time. The World Inequality Report argues that this was not inevitable, but a political choice. They argue that in the 80s, leaders like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher pushed a series of policies that made private wealth go up and
Yeah. That's what it'll do, Ka. That's what it'll do.
public wealth go down. So their argument
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Ka.
here is that if governments own less, then in theory they're less capable of tackling inequality. But from now on, we're not going to talk about countries anymore. We're entering global wealth tiers.
Okay.
If your wealth is at least $1 million, then you're part of the global 1%.
Look at this. Ka. Yeah, we out here like, we on that grind set, Ka. Like,
This could mean having $1 million in your bank account or just owning an expensive house. There are 82 million people in this group, and they own 38% of the world's wealth. To make it to the top 0.01%, you need a wealth of at least $21 million. There are about 800,000 people in this group, and they own 11% of the world's wealth. It's estimated that private jets are used by about 0.003%.
Oh, we're going into like disgusting. We're going to be going into disgusting wealth territories next.
Which would be about 30% of this group. If your wealth is at least $1 billion, then you're considered a billionaire.
I love how billionaires suddenly are wearing fucking like Bill Gates clothes. Like billionaires are automatically just wearing sweaters.
Roughly 3,000 billionaires in the world, and they own 3% of the world's wealth. Over the years, the wealth of global billionaires has gone up, and the same is true for the people in the previous tier. But one billionaire takes the #1 position on Forbes. As of the making of this video, Elon Musk is the wealthiest person in the world with a net worth of almost $400 billion. Between 2020 and 2024, Elon Musk's wealth grew at an average rate of $1,300 per second. If Elon Musk saw a $100 bill on the floor, it would literally not be worth his time.
I always hated that fucking ant. I always hated that. I've been hearing that since I was a kid about Bill Gates. It wouldn't be worth his time.
So now that we've reached the top, let's revisit question 2. Has global inequality gone up since 2000? Most of my audience said yes, and that makes sense. We've seen the rise of billionaires in the top 0.01%.
Yes, but tell us what's actually happened.
Inequality within countries. But the answer, to my own surprise, is C. Global inequality has actually gone down. But how's that possible?
This seems complicated.
To be very sort of blunt, reducing inequality between Malawi and the UK is much more important than reducing inequality within the UK.
Although inequality within countries went up in many regions, the inequality between countries has gone down.
Yeah.
The global top 10% now owns 74% of the wealth, which is less than before. And the bottom 50% own 2.1% of the wealth, which is not much, but still higher than in 2000.
So it's still technically gone up.
Catching up. If we go back to 1990,
wow, good job.
Like this. Almost 40% of the world lived in low-income countries. As the years passed, billions climbed out of poverty, and now most of the world lives in middle-income countries. This doesn't mean that people aren't struggling.
Jolly lolly, jolly lolly, jolly lolly, jolly lolly. I appreciate it. Arigato, gozaimasu.
Struggling, or that we shouldn't worry about rising inequality within countries. But personally, I also think it's important that we acknowledge the progress
that was not sexual.
Made. Most people, myself included, fail these questions because we don't have an accurate picture of the world.
True.
That's the video for today. Thank you for watching. This one took a bit longer.
I feel like he did a really good job at pointing out kind of, you know, the semantics of the whole fucking thing. I think he did a pretty damn good job, Ka. I feel like he did a pretty damn good job.